Hi, welcome to this artificial intelligence and for K-12 for Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. This meeting will be recorded to have it accessible to other members that are not here today. As a group, we are looking for professionals interested in bringing computer science and artificial intelligence to K-12 education to all subjects in Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. Today, we will have another exciting topic, and the plan for today includes taking the attendance, a welcome to all participants, introduction to our speaker, Stacey Wood, the conference about FarmBeats, new technology and engagements for our schools, new development, a session for questions and answers, feedback, survey, and adjourns. Today, I will be the moderator of the activity. I am Dr. Elba M. Sepulveda, instructional designer at Johns Hopkins University. I work as a teacher in Puerto Rico for many years. I have here Dr. Aratia, who is the gestor of this idea for Puerto Rico, and I have many other people that are joining today to this um, workshop. We also have representatives from the Department of Education, teachers, students, and professors from different universities that are joining us to add artificial intelligence and computer science to Puerto Rico education. I don't know if Dr. Aratia wants to give a welcome message to the participants, but you are
Oh
okay to do,
yes,
you want to do that.
yeah. Thank you very much, Alba. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be part of this workshop, and I really thanks Stacey Good for coming and presenting us a very interesting topic. Okay, I so I will say hello to everybody who is now and the one who are coming. So let's start it, Alba. Great.
Yes, sure. I will copy a link to a survey to record the attendance of the participants. This meeting will be recorded to have it available to other members that for any reason they are not here. Please use the chat to ask questions in either language, English or Spanish. And I am pleased to present our speaker for today, Stacey Wood from the FarmBeats New Technology and Engagement for School Group, who has spent the last 18 months working with universities across the United States using the Azure FarmBeats Growth Education and Research. FarmBeats is a cloud platform used for aggregate agricultural data from diverse sources, including sensors, drones, and satellites. These fused data sets can rapidly build artificial intelligence and machine learning models and build custom digital agriculture solutions. Stacy is also part of the team that recently introduced the FarmBeats for Students program. FarmBeats for Students bring the fundamentals of artificial intelligence and machine learning into classrooms. Stacy has an undergraduate degree from Arizona State University in interdisciplinary studies and an MBA in business intelligence. I'm happy to present Stacey Woods, and we will let her talk about this initiative for integrating computer science and artificial intelligence activities into K to 12 education. We are pleased to have you here.
Oh, great. Thank you, Elba. My colleague Karen Weber is also with us today, and I have a short video that I'll play that just describes the program, and then Karen and I will be available to answer questions. And I will need permission to be able to share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, let's
Here we go.
now permission. You can control everything right now.
Okay, great. So are you seeing my screen with the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead. Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me here today to talk to you about the FarmBeats for Students program. My name is Stacey Wood. I'm a program manager at Microsoft working on the Research for Industry team. I've spent a lot of my most recent time working with universities across the United States who are using the Azure FarmBeats product for education and research. And if you're not familiar with FarmBeats, it's a cloud-based platform that's used to aggregate agricultural data from lots of different sources, including sensors, drones, and satellites. These fused datasets are then used to build machine learning models and to build customized digital agriculture solutions. I've also been working on the team led by my colleague Karen Weber that recently introduced the FarmBeats for Students program. That's what we're talking about today. And you probably already know that the FarmBeats for Students program brings the fundamentals of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the emerging world of the Internet of Things into the classroom, and also to students who maybe aren't in a traditional classroom. So let's dig in and take a look at the kits in more detail. We're going to start with a quick video that'll give you an overview of the program.
Today's farms are beginning to look a lot more like smart cities. Digital signals connect people to each other, to the cloud, and to data. Growers are using multiple sensors to collect a more complete view of their crops. Their insights drive decisions like turning on irrigation.
Oh. Something is wrong.
I think we lost the audio.
Yes, Elba.
Affordable
Yes.
hardware and curriculum is designed to give students hands-on
better?
experiences
Yes.
and apply digital techniques to food production. Using an array of sensors that measure soil moisture, light, humidity, and temperature, students can stream, visualize, and analyze data in Excel. Additionally, working with curated data collections provides them with first-hand experience using the power that big data can bring to gaining insights into food production. Students can also build, train, and apply custom deep learning models to help track and inform plant health. Using the LOG application, students experience how computer vision is changing how we literally see data. FarmBeats for Students is designed to introduce every learner to the concepts of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science. By focusing on growing food, students can begin to easily see the connections between using modern tools and the jobs to be done. FarmBeats for Students is designed to provide access and understanding to the data-driven agricultural techniques that are rapidly changing the way the land is being worked and the way the land will work for us in the future.
So I think that video gives a really good high-level overview of the FarmBeats for Students package. The goal of the kits is to empower every learner to apply AI to solve a real-world problem while also acquiring basic AI and data literacy. And we're framing that education in the platform of digital agriculture. We introduce students to artificial intelligence and machine learning. We highlight the importance of responsible AI, and we talk about SDG Global Challenge number 2, Zero Hunger. If you haven't heard about the SDG Global Goals, these are the Sustainable Development Goals that are 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for everyone. We think it's important for students to think about how they might use their education and technology to solve a big problem like this one. With the kits focus on agriculture, combined with artificial intelligence and machine learning, the Zero Hunger goal fit well into what we're trying to teach students to be more aware of, and to think about how they can directly impact the world around them in big ways. The FarmBeats for Students program is a collection of 3 complementary parts. There's hardware, developed with Seed Studios. There's free curriculum, developed in coordination with the National FFA organization. And there are student experiences using Microsoft tools and products like Excel and Lobe. The hardware kit is a Raspberry Pi and environmental sensors, and it is an indoor kit, but we're encouraging students to dig in the dirt and use them outside, which is part of what makes FarmBeats for Students such a great tool to capture students' attention. The thing that's so cool about digital agriculture as a platform to teach students about AI, machine learning, and both its positive and potentially negative influence on us is that it's tactile. It's no secret that different learners have different learning styles, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and the FarmBeats for Students package checks all these boxes, particularly the hands-on tactile one. We're focusing on older kids, but these kids still benefit from a play-based physical activity that increases their concentration and self-confidence. They're more engaged and open to the other messages and learning objectives. The kits can be purchased with or without the Pi, directly from Seed Studios by individuals or in bulk for use with the rest of the FarmBeats for Students program. And we've tried to minimize the cost. Kits are about $100 if you purchase one with a Pi, or $65 if you purchase. During the activities, students will take their kits out into their gardens to collect data through their sensors. And because of the type of components, we're not encouraging them to leave the kits outside for a long time, but we'd love to see how students could creatively build a housing for the kits to keep them weatherproof. The free curriculum is built around the AI for K-12 initiative that asks, what does every K-12 student need to know about AI? And because AI is now so common and touches so many parts of our everyday lives, it's crucial to consider what educated citizens need to know about it. The Association for the Advancement of AI and the Computer Science Teachers Association formed a joint working group to develop national guidelines for teaching artificial intelligence to K-12 age students. AI for K-12 defines learning objectives by grade band, and we're using those to build instruction around the 5 big ideas in AI that you see here. Computers perceive the world using sensors. Agents maintain models of the world and use them for reasoning. Computers can learn from data. Making agents interact with humans is a substantial challenge for AI developers. And last, the societal impact. For the societal impact, we're also bringing in Microsoft's responsible AI framework. The curriculum includes links to videos that explain each of the responsible AI points that you see here. So let's take a quick look at one of those videos that we show our students.
We believe in the potential of AI to improve our lives in big and small ways. We need to make sure it's for the benefit of everyone.
For the first time, we're having machines move into roles that have been the roles of human beings. Might these technologies have inadvertent effects on people and society? Do they align with people's values, their ethics? We needed to think through the implications for our company.
Responsible AI is the approach that we take to developing and deploying our technology, making sure our principles are brought to life and that it empowers everyone and is inclusive and accessible for people. Excellent! The job of the Office of Responsible AI is to put our principles into practice by operationalizing ethics across the company.
We have to think through what it means to detect bias, make our systems more fair, to detect errors and blind spots in our technologies, and on thinking through the kinds of advice we give to other organizations and to our leaders. Technology can impose on privacy and human rights. Responsibility is at the core. We're learning every day about this new role of responsible computing.
We need to translate academic thought to language that our engineers and salespeople are familiar with. Our customers are grappling with many of the same issues. It's incumbent on us to share what we learn.
It's about trying to do better every day, working with our customers and outside agencies to develop processes and deliver responsible computing technologies to the world.
So that video gives you a good idea of why Microsoft thinks responsible AI is so important. And in addition to showing that video, we also dig in deeper into each of the principles individually. We're also including relevant articles, current events, so students can see how artificial intelligence is working in the world around them every day. In addition to AI for K-12, we've aligned the curriculum to what's important to our educators: the Computer Science Teachers Association standards, the National AFNR Common Career Technical Core standards, the Next Generation Science standards, and the Common Core State Standards for High School Math. Resources for teachers include material from AI for K-12, including the progression chart that you see here in the lower left. We're also including PowerPoint presentations with instruction scripts. There's background and lesson instructions, and there's thorough hardware build instructions. So even the least technical student or educator will have no problem putting the kits together and getting them working. We're also including tools like this one so educators can hit the ground running. This is a quick start guide. There's a lot of material and curriculum, and we want to make sure that everyone who picks up a kit or downloads that curriculum knows exactly where to start and what to do. We've made the FarmBeats for Students package very easy to use. All of the tools in the curriculum are easily downloaded from the Microsoft Educator Center as a bundle or as individual lessons. And because it's free and open source, educators can take and teach it all, or they can pick up and choose what they want. They can edit, they can add, remove content based on their curriculum and the needs of their students. For example, in Australia, they're taking our curriculum and they're adjusting the plants and the maps so it's more relevant to their students. And you might want to do something similar to that in Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands. The student experiences are also designed to engage students, encouraging them to explore outside the presented activities. The Excel team has created custom Excel workbooks using DataStreamer that allows students to see their sensor data in real time. They configure an agent and they see how it impacts their hardware. They keep a data journal for data analysis when their Pi isn't directly connected to learn how that provides insights into agriculture decisions. We walk them through calculating growing degree units and the challenges of working with big data. So let's take a closer look at one of the Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so we're looking here at the FarmBeats Sensors workbook. It's one of 2 custom Excel workbooks that are included with the curriculum. We're looking at the single sensor dashboard, which is showing data that's coming from my Raspberry Pi. We're using DataStreamer to import the information from the Raspberry Pi and our sensors, and so we need to connect that here. So once I go in and connect my device, I can start streaming data. And you can see that I immediately start getting sensor readings here. This is just for one of the 5 sensors that I have attached to my Raspberry Pi. I could look at soil temperature, soil moisture. I could look at air temperature. And we can also look at all 5 of our sensors at the same time. So this is the live sensor dashboard that shows us all 5 readings together. This is where we can have students configure an agent. And the agent, based on sensor readings, will turn on or off a relay in our garden. And we can use that in a couple of different activities with our students. We also have the data journal. The Raspberry Pi has a log file. So even when it's not directly connected to my computer, it's still collecting data in my garden. All that information is stored here. And so I can look at it over time and make decisions about what's happening in my garden. And that's happening here on the Data Insights tab. So you can see that I've had my Raspberry Pi connected since about the end of March. And I'm starting to get some interesting values here. So this is displayed graphically for me. We're also including instructions for our students if they wanted to dig deeper, say maybe they wanted to create a pivot table with the data that's included in this workbook, they could go ahead and do that. So this is just a couple of the tabs that are included in this worksheet. And we've got other great activities that use these custom Excel products. And we make it as easy as we can for students to use so they can dig into the data and really get started exploring the world of machine learning and the Internet of Things. We also have 2 activities using Lobe. If you aren't familiar with Lobe, it's a machine learning tool that's easy to use, free and private, and exportable. Lobe is designed to be easy enough for anyone to use without coding. You can train models for free on your own computer without uploading data to the cloud, and you can export your models for use on any platform. Lobe provides some project templates for image classification, with object detection and data classification coming soon. We have students using Lobe to identify pests in their garden and also to identify nutrient deficiencies in their plants. Let's take a closer look at the Lobe application. I have it open here on my desktop, and you can see that I have two projects going right now. One, an intruder alert, and the other for nutrient deficiencies. Let's take a closer look at the deficiencies project. Lobe works by taking images that you provide and then building a model around that to make other predictions for images that you give it later on. You can see I've got 30 images altogether in my deficiencies project, 9 for nitrogen, 12 for phosphorus, and 9 for potassium. If I hover over my nitrogen project, it says, hey, this label could use a few more images, and we can easily add them. I've got a couple pictures here of nitrogen deficiencies in plants. Let's just drag one over. Once I drag it over, Lobe says, hey, how do we want to classify this image? And I can easily click on it and say, this is a nitrogen deficiency. As soon as I add an image like this, we can see that Lobe starts training its model, and it'll train it every time I add new images and building a better model to make better predictions. That noise we heard says training is over and it's ready to start guessing what an image might be. So let's click play. I have a working model ready, and I've got a picture of another nitrogen deficient plant here. So let's drag it over into the play area. Lobe is making a guess that this is a nitrogen deficiency based on the other images that it has. It's guessed correctly. So I'm going to reward Lobe by saying, yep, this is a nitrogen deficiency. And by adding that image and telling Lobe it was also nitrogen, you can see it's training the model again. Every time you add new images and you provide more information, Lobe recreates that model, and it gets better every time. You can see how easy this is, and this is what we're using with our students for the two activities. The target audience for the kits right now is high school age students. We've partnered with FFA, the Future Farmers of America in the United States, and CSIRO in Australia to get a bulk of kits into the hands of educators for use this year. We presented at the State of K-12 AI Education in Your State webinar, and students in Illinois are already using the kits as part of their research projects. These students have partnered with students in Malawi who want to use the kits to learn how to improve crop production and to increase the survival rate of trees that are being planted there. As I mentioned, the kits are designed to be adaptable for school or home use. If this year has taught us nothing else, it's that we need to think about education in new ways. We need to be ready to find new and different approaches to supporting our learners. And we feel that this program meets these needs. The expansion opportunities are really limited only by your imagination and creativity. Since everything is open source, once you have the hardware and the starter curriculum and experiences, you can adjust it for many different groups. We can easily see expansion packs for the existing kits with new modules and activities and added hardware. For example, you could purchase a camera or a water pump from seed to use with the activities or to build more activities of your own. You could reach new groups, adult learners or master gardeners. You could dig deeper into more complex technology like coding and connections to Azure, including Azure FarmBeats. You can expand across industries with different kinds of sensors and activities. And last, we would love to see the kits used by universities. We've envisioned using the kits for education as part of the digital agriculture curriculum or in labs and capstone courses, and as we've already done in hackathons. So that's a quick look at the program, and I'd love to take your questions if you have any.
Yes. Good. Great.
Okay, and if you have any
Stacey,
questions about the product, yeah.
Yes, let's ask the audience if they have questions. Mark, do you have any questions?
I always have plenty of questions. I mean, I don't want to take the time of everybody. Yeah, it's a great. I think these are great ideas. We've started also with Raspberry Pi, and the students enjoy working with them. Yeah, so, and we started also at UVI a new program, a new degree in agriculture on St. Croix. So we have two islands, one on St. Thomas, one on St. Croix, and we just hired a new faculty, and they're going to start a new agriculture program. So, And I think they want to recruit high school students in their program. And I think this will be a great tool for them and for us to be able to recruit.
The recruit, right?
Yeah, so my question, I saw the second part, the last part, yeah, you said you can develop your own models, correct? Because if you want to introduce AI, so it's good to use applications. And then we want to a little bit explain the science behind it. Now you have a lot of material to teach how these models work. And for the student after to be able to create something besides putting the element together, we want them also to be able to code and to try a model, yes, that they create themselves, even if it doesn't work the way compared to the existing model. So I think the last part when I asked my question in the chat, yes, I think you're answering the question because you say you can create your own model later on with Python, correct?
Actually, it's a no-code solution. The students can make their own model by just bringing whatever photographs they have to the system and labeling them theirs. Think about this program that we just showed you as the entry point for people who are coming in with no experience at all to get them excited. So they will take your Python course. So they will start learning how to code and apply these as future skills.
Okay, so it's just an application. So there is no development. You cannot replace, substitute, or test a different model now for this with this platform. Yeah.
With Lobe, you can. There is a way at a developer's level to engage with Lobe, but the way that we have introduced the program is assuming that no one knows how to do any of this, and we want the students to start getting experiences, understanding the power of AI, and understanding the components of what makes that computer vision actually work. So they'll have in the PowerPoint a whole bunch of lecture slides that explain how vision works, and then they apply that in building their model with the no-code solution. But think of this as the introduction to your eventual CS 101 or machine learning 101 or something. It's the transition between high school students that are getting nothing today and collegiate students who are signing up to be eventually machine learning scientists, right?
And to build on what Karen's saying, the data that's being collected on the Raspberry Pi could definitely be used for other activities that you develop. We have a GitHub site that our hardware guy, David Micah, he's not here today, but he has a GitHub site where he clearly explains all the Python coding that he's put together to make the Pi work. So for your older students, college-age students, they could take a look at what David has put out there, and then they could easily use that information if they wanted to take that somewhere else to build other models on the data.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
I'm going to hold my next question. I'm going to let the audience
Yes.
participate.
Elba, anybody in the chat ask questions or not?
The only question that I have here was about if the students are taking their own photos, but it is answered, so they can take their own photos and the system can analyze that. But if you want to talk more about that, it would be nice.
Sure. So with the two activities that we have with Lobe, there's one where the students are using Lobe to identify pests in their garden. And there's another one, the example that I showed, to identify nutrient deficiencies in their plants. And students can go out in the garden and they can take pictures of their plants that maybe are damaged and use those to build a machine learning model in Lobe. For students that don't have a camera, we also supply some images, so they wouldn't be held back if they don't have a camera or access to that information. So students can provide their own, they can take pictures from their garden, they can find pictures online, and they can use all those together to build better models in the Lobe application.
Do they need to have any Raspberry Pi or any other software besides the camera to be able to use that app?
Yeah, so that's a good question.
So
Go ahead.
Loeb basically is an online free walk-up site. You can, bring your photos with you. So however you've gotten them, they'll accept them and you can use them. So you don't need hardware to use that. So Mark, you had another question.
Yes, Mark.
I have 3 questions. So in the Virgin Islands, also we are collecting water from the roofs, yes, and the water are going to the cistern. And people are developing apps also to test the quality of water. And so I wonder if you have developed or are interesting eventually to find out if we can develop a system to test the quality of water. And, yeah.
So we don't have any sensors in this program to do that. That doesn't mean that you couldn't bring your own sensor to the Pi and with a little bit of code, get it to do that. So that's what I would call the technical solution for what you've just asked. There is on the other end of the spectrum a site that we have at Microsoft called Hacking STEM. It's actually designed for middle school students. I'll put the link in the chat. And in that case, students actually make their own sensor with a straw and a couple of pieces of stainless steel, and actually can measure, the solidity, the solidity in there. And while it's not quality, it is the first conversation to start talking about how we use sensors and how you can use those Excel workbooks to be able to get that. And the actual water quality one, there are 2, have amazing curriculum using the same sensor that the student builds themselves, literally with a drinking straw, a little bit of tape, and some stainless steel. And that program is actually very interesting because it really looks at the students building their own sensor and understanding how sensors work. And the workbooks that have been designed by Excel are all custom. So the student doesn't look at a page and page of numbers. In that case, they'll see a mountain with water runoff and understand where it's being interacted with. They may actually be able to see if it's gonna, what happens with the fish in that population as the water quality changes. So they're designed at the level of a student, in this case, middle school to early high school, to explain those concepts. But I see Stacey has put that link in the chat.
Yeah. And
How specialized is the equipment or the hardware needed for use the system? Like what kind of probes do the teachers needed to have or to buy to be able to use this if they want to use the equipment instead of only the website or the photos?
Stacey, do you want to talk about the kit?
Yes.
So yeah, the kit, are you asking specifically about Loeb, or you're interested in the whole package?
No, the hardware kit.
Yeah. So the hardware kit is a Raspberry Pi 4 in simple environmental sensors from Seed Studios. And the kits can all come together in a bundle if you wanted to purchase the whole kit with the Pi and the sensors. Or if you already had a Raspberry Pi, you could just purchase the set of sensors that we've created the activities around. For Loeb, you can use photos from anywhere. Doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be taken with the Pi. It could even be photos that you just find online. So there's no special hardware requirements for the photos.
I have another question here that is, if I'm translating that into the system, but they want to know what they can do to apply this system to a hydroponic environment.
So that's interesting. We haven't built any activities around hydroponics. I know that was one of the areas where the Future Farmers of America was looking to build some additional activities with set 2 of the instructions. And I don't know when their set 2 will be available. But once you have the kits and you've seen the initial activities, I think it would be pretty easy for you to adapt that if you wanted to build a solution for hydroponics just based on what your own needs are. You can use the pie. You may need some additional sensors that are more appropriate for that type of an environment. The sensors that we have are all really meant to be in a garden, in the soil, and they're not intended to be in the water. But I know that there are lots of sensors that are available for that. And so you could use the pie with an additional sensor in that kind of an environment.
Yes, Nilda is asking because she has the hydroponic structure working. She wants to know if there is a page that she can use to help as a help for setting up the system. I know that you said that you don't have that development, but maybe having some instructions on how to set it up will help her.
Yeah, that's a great idea for a future activity. We don't have any specific instructions on setting up a hydroponics environment right now with the FarmBeats for Students kit. But we would be very open to hearing what someone else's setup looked like and what kind of help they needed. And we could maybe even include that out on our website as a future activity.
We're also really interested in building a community of users. I mean, that's part of how we came to the AI for K-12 world, is that we believe that this is an open source activity, that this is a core fundamental offering, and that the work of all the educators should be able to feed each other. And so with the team, for example, that we have in Illinois, they're starting to do some pretty interesting things and thinking about like AR and VR. We have another team like that's thinking about maybe they would want to do something and put in different sensors. And because we have that pie hat, it literally is you just pull one in and you put one, you put another one in. So we're very interested in how we can bring communities of educators who are doing this with their students together and help each other and trade the materials, trade their solutions, and help and help. So that's what we have right now. So the Future Farmers of America are about to start running this with their classrooms, and we have a group in Australia, and they're building off of that program together. A great idea would be if you wanted to participate in that consortium, we'd bring you in, we'd connect you, and then maybe the Australian data is interesting to you, or maybe it's not. Maybe connecting to those students in Australia is interesting to you, or maybe connecting to the students in Malawi is interesting to you. We think that we're a framework for which the educators can now come plug in and bring their goodness and make our stuff just better. We've just sort of kicked it off to get you started.
How long you have been running the program now?
We launched this actually on March 4th. But the
FarmBeats only. So this is completely new. Okay.
Yes. I sit on the AI for K-12 advisory board. And one of the things that I saw that was really interesting was there was not an introductory curriculum that was also a hands-on curriculum that wove in the data side. And if you look at the 5 big ideas, they're phenomenal. But the most interesting thing is to get to that, you need the data. And we have to build that data literacy at the same time. And so when we set out to do this, as Microsoft, as Stacey mentioned, we already have the commercial farming program, FarmBeats for FarmBeats. They're in the fields, they're working with commercial farmers all over the world. We saw this as an opportunity to make it something that kids could actually care about and do, whether they were at home in a cup or in a pot or in a plot. They could get that experience to start working with data and with these concepts of machine learning without having to wait for big, huge programs or the government to turn around and say, yes, we're gonna, put it into the curriculum here. So that's why you see both cross-disciplinary standards. That's why you see, a framework that is hopefully hackable by each district, by each Ministry of Education to make it their own.
Yeah, and the good thing, you can also use your program for the data science, because we wear multiple hats, so you can plug it to the data science. It's a big area now, and big data and big data science. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing is that if you look at this, the workbook and materials that we have ourselves, you could run this whole program and just use our materials and never touch the sensors themselves or never have to buy the kit. Because we do realize that there are communities where they will have all these resources and then there are other ones that don't. So the case in Malawi, they're looking at how they can share their kits and move them around between each other and pass them across. Versus we have other places where they're saying, you know, every kid will have their own kit. That's a luxury that we just don't think is viable across the world.
Yeah.
Where are you in your development of your AI for K-12 curriculum? Are you in the process of working on that, or have you just joined the consortium?
Well, we are just joining the consortium. We are just about 3 months, and these are the first overview of the material. But we are identifying, you see, different groups within Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands. So probably we will have a good plan in a couple of months, just for the curriculum. Because the curriculum here is a little political. So we have to be careful there.
We appreciate that. It is political all over the world.
Yeah.
You are not alone. It is not a case of, you know, you being in the
Yeah.
island, I promise.
Yeah, yes, that's why you see we would like to have teachers, we would like to have administrators, also scientists from the universities, students. So the group will start getting things done. And also is like Mark is doing something in US Virgin Island. This is the same idea. You see, we don't have a good relation between the university community and the university government administration. And right now, you see, it's a transition. So we are not sure who to talk to within the government. Yeah, so that's the basic. We have some people who are going to be there in the government, but some other they are leaving. So it's a difficult time. Okay.
Yep, I
Politically.
hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you,
politically.
and I'm sorry that it is such a challenge. And I think that we appreciate both the fact that you're trying to do the right thing in the challenging circumstances. So
Yes.
know that we support you and in any way we can.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have a student from high school asking for opportunities, some opportunity for boot camp. So, and because of COVID, I have some experience, or not yet, because I think it started in March. But you know, in his school, this summer boot camp, we are planning to use your program and running online. Is it possible to do it first? Because it's going to be difficult just for the image. But for the Raspberry, do you have any boot camps or are planning to run this summer using your program?
Right now, we've actually been talking about doing a workshop for teachers to have them have a chance to come in, and we have something we call 1 week, which is they shut down Microsoft for the week, and it's our hackathon week. And this is actually where this program began. It was a year ago. The commercial FarmBeats team said, oh, we have a kit that we think is available, and they brought it to the hackathon, and we brought teachers from the FFA to use it, and they said, no way. This thing is the hardest thing to ever use. We can't do this. This is not good. So we said, we'll partner with you to try and make it better. Give us a year. And we went and actually then started testing this with the FFA and seeing what they would want to make it better. Now this year, we're hoping to bring back the FFA teachers, and that small cohort that has helped us develop it. They're now going to teach the community so that they all will be able to do this and bring this to their classrooms in the fall. And so we are looking at this hackathon week of trying to do some training for educators. We're just starting to talk about that now. I will also say that Stacey's been working with some universities when they have been doing some things. So if there is a formal hackathon or boot camp that's formed, we can definitely let you know when that would happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're planning something online or face to face?
Oh no, it has to be online.
Online. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, unfortunately, COVID has changed the beautiful world of the face-to-face training and interaction.
Well,
But I will tell you, for us, it was an advantage because when we began the program, we literally started the program the day last March when we got locked down. And so the whole program was designed with COVID in mind. So that's why we say it can be done in a cup, it can be done in a pot, it can be done in a plot, because we know there are kids that would be locked down at home and that's maybe all they have is a cup with some dirt in it, right?
yeah, and yeah, I'm telling you because last year, just before COVID, I talked to farmers in the Virgin Islands, and they wanted to have a system, autonomous system with a solar panel, and I bought, in fact, the element to be able to using these sensors, yes, to be able to water, and we have a crisis of water too. So now the way they are doing, they are watering the plants. Okay, without knowing about the moisture of the, so a farmer, they were interested in implementing this system, and I think we can train students, and they can work with farmers to implement this everywhere. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. As Stacey said in her presentation, we actually believe this kit is a great introductory for growers. If you've been in the fields and you've not been using this technology at all, and all of a sudden we come to you and we say, hey, you need to measure your soil moisture, and I now need to make you connect to the cloud and do all this other stuff, that's way too much of a learning curve. So what we saw was, and in talking with some university agricultural programs, that this could be a program for the first step for producers, the first step for kids who are going to school in high school, and the first step for collegiate students. So you get this beautiful ecosystem that can actually be developed of everyone needing to learn the same fundamental literacy. With big idea number 5, I'll come back on that one, being almost the most important, because their societal impact and how it shows up is not being dealt with. If you look at where everybody else is putting their energy right now, they're all about, oh, how good is our machine learning, or how quickly can we, sort your data, or whatever. But how do you use it, and how do you know how to use it, and what is your ethical and societal responsibility, I think is going to be just as important as we develop the literacy across both the grower community, the collegiate community, and the high school community.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and for managing resources, again, because this is a drought season, so if you have to control the amount of water, okay, you can use this kind of system, yes, eventually to water, but not too much, just enough, yeah.
That's what the whole agent activity does. It helps them say, I've gotten these sensor readings from my plants. Maybe I don't have to water today. Maybe they're not as thirsty as I think. We have a farmer in Eastern Washington that uses the larger Azure FarmBeats product, and he's using much less chemicals and much less water than he ever was before, just based on the readings that he's getting from the sensors on his farm. And, I think if people haven't seen that used before, it would be a big surprise. Farmers have great intuition, but that intuition coupled now with the knowledge that's coming from the sensors, I think it can really be a big advantage in saving water, resources, chemicals.
And Michael, are you there, Michael? So Michael is on St. Croix, Michael Francois, and he's
yes, I'm here.
Yes. So we were talking about maybe a part of engineering because he's working with the Department of Education to propose an engineering degree for high school students. Yes. So these you can design your circuit. So it's the engineering part, yes, and apply to agriculture. Yeah. So it would be great too. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely recommend you definitely go look at the Hacking STEM portfolio.
Yeah.
Because what's really interesting about that from the engineering side is it really is about design thinking and engineering. And in each case, the students take on the role of someone, a professional, to go solve the problem. So when they're working on the oceans project or the water project, they are told they are a hydrologist. When they are working on, the mapping, or we have the other thing I want to point out on it is they can also in that program bring in commercial sensors in addition to being able to make their own. So in this case, we've partnered with Veneer, and they can bring the Veneer library in and plug it in, and instead they'll use their water sensor, right? Now we don't do that on the FarmBeats stuff yet, but that's how Hacking STEM is set up. So as you look to bring the engineering plus design plus data together, please do look at that portfolio. You might find something very useful, especially the Excel workbooks that are already set up.
Yeah. And the Caribbean also, we're using a lot of buoys with sensor, oceanographic and atmospheric sensors, and they communicate via satellite to send information to NOAA. So, and now we don't have any training. So each time we have an issue with one of these buoys, they are sending specialists, or experts from the mainland. So if we have a training for the local, population, they can now maintain their own system. Yes, yeah. But
yeah, well, I think that's the most interesting thing about education right now, right? If you look at it statistically, what do they say? Like 65% of all jobs that our students will get didn't exist when we were growing up. So buoy fixer of sensors, drone operators, those were science fiction, and now we're living that as science fact. And so I think that's the most interesting thing that we have as educators as a challenge, is how do we start to build that foundational knowledge so that the students can do whatever it is that they're going to be asked to do when the jobs start to show up.
Yeah, and plus we have all the underwater world where we have gliders and also, and so we have glider in the Caribbean too, where they capture data to predict hurricanes. So they send this, and the students, they see these gliders, they open them, plenty of electronics, and they would like to know, yes, how they can eventually, be part of this. Yeah, so this might be the first step. Yeah, okay.
Is there anything that we can tell you more, or encourage how we can encourage you to start to try to think about using our program?
Oh yeah, Elba, what do you think?
Saying that teachers now have a powerful tool that they can use to integrate that into their classrooms, because it's not based on buying something, it's something that you can use that is online. And right now all the teachers and students are living in this world that you need to have a lot of activities that can be done remotely. Thinking about research, and the research can be done in their houses, not they don't need to go outside. That's why this is very something very good for everyone. I think this is a win-win for both, for teachers, for the students, for the Department of Education, for the Virgin Islands and the Department of Education in Puerto Rico, so they can implement these kind of activities in their biology class or in their science class, any science class. They don't need to have a computer science class to be able to use these kind of tools. And I think that teachers can have more resources if they go to the website that they show, because I was browsing in, and I think that they have their teacher resources, they have instructor presentations. So you are not alone as a teacher. You have all the tools available online.
Yep, that's right. And we try to make it as easy to use as possible. It's all very clearly mapped out. And as I said in the video, they don't have to take it all. Like we think Big Idea 5 is so important. Any class, computer science, English class, anybody could take Big Idea 5 and show their students how artificial intelligence is impacting them in ways they may not have even thought about. and how it's required that we really are responsible about the technical decisions that we're making and why it's important. So that one could be used in any kind of a class.
Yes. Good.
Sure.
Hey, Karina, are you there, Karina? Karina?
Hello, yes.
Yes. What can you add, Karina? Karina is a student. She is going to be an engineer, but she has been, well, mentored by different people from different organizations, NASA, MIT, and now we had a group, we are going to start a group in one of the vocational schools. And Karina is the coordinator. So what can you say, Karina, about this particular tool, okay, for this one?
I believe that I've worked with similar things in the past, like monitoring different plant systems, monitor how your plants are growing. And I believe that this is a very interesting tool, that it's also very simple for the students to understand, the teachers, and I think it's very nice. And we can also apply it in schools like the vocational school that I'm trying to get to work with. These are students that are trying to implement different projects in their lives and to expand their knowledge, not only to just one area, but to implement technology to agriculture and different applications. I believe that that is very interesting, and that it's very good that we expand the view that we have of technology, not only to cell phones, computers, but that technology can be a tool that can help us and that can bring utility for our lives. And it's very useful. And I believe that this can change the way that we view things. And we can view it as a tool and something that maybe be simple now, but in the future it could be huge.
That's so true, Karina, what you're saying about it changing the way you view things. That's exactly how we feel too. When you go through the curriculum, you're learning things maybe you haven't even considered before, and it does change your view of your world and what you as a student, as a young person, will be able to achieve in your life based on your education, technology. It's just really limitless. Changes the way you look at everything.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. First of all, brilliantly said and very nicely put. Thank you. You did capture our sentiment exactly. But the other thing is we have a whole generation of students that are using AI and they don't even know they are using AI. They talk to their phone, hey Siri, they talk to Alexa, they talk to Cortana. They have no idea how, why, when this is happening. And so that lack of literacy is actually dangerous because they're now not understanding that they can be in control of this new technology. And the minute we empower them with how it works, now they own what their future is going to look like. They can decide, I'm just going to be a user of it, but I know how I'm using it and I know how to be safe and protect myself. They could also decide to be a creator of it. And our hope, obviously, as a STEMinist, I want them all to be creators of it, and especially the young women. But I think that it's really important to get them introduced and get them to see that it's not just the computer companies that are putting out these black boxes. It has to be a glass boxed set of experiences. And we've tried very hard to do that.
Yes, very true, Karen. Alvaro, do you have any question? Alvaro is a professor and he has a group of teachers. So he has several, he has a program.
Hello.
Maybe, yeah.
Well,
maybe
I have little experience using sensors, but we did a program last year before the pandemic, and it was using sensors for the earthquakes that there was in San Germán, and we had the input. However, we didn't think in integrating them in a database or collecting them. It was just we put the Raspberry sensors for earthquakes in a building, and students could have the signals in their cell phones. That was all. But now I can see that there is more behind, more to do. It's not just to measure, but also to make sense of the data and to get to understand the nature, as Stacey was saying. So actually, we need a curriculum or integrated activities to the curriculum, because it's very easy to use black boxes, but it's not as easy to understand why are they useful for, and that's what we can do in these activities that we are trying to do. Yeah.
I love your example of the earthquakes, because I think it's really true. We're very good at just saying, oh, one half. I'm from San Francisco, so I have a very special knowledge of earthquakes. But I think what is very interesting is that often the fact we know that there's an earthquake, but the real challenge that we want to do to our students is say, what do you do about that? So in the hacking STEM world, what we do is we say, once you know how to read a seismograph, actually they build one out of a plastic cup, we make them engineer a building to see if it can withstand the shake, and look at what happens when you use some modern engineering like a tuned mass damper to stop it from shaking. So being able to show the connection between knowing something happened and how we bring engineering and thinking to solve problems is really what we want people to do. Because just knowing that the earthquake happened, we can, that's fine. It's not fine, it's horrible. What we really want is students to be thinking about how they can solve the problem in the future, right?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Great.
Yes, and well, we are approaching, the end of today's workshop.
Yeah.
I want to thank Stacey, Karen, and Dr. Arachia for this initiative. Thanks all for actively participating in this workshop for FarmBeats, new technology and engagement for schools to implement artificial intelligence in the K-12 curriculum. This is something that we want to implement in Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. And I hope this activity was informative, good for you to learn the basics. Please use the form that I put on the chat to record your attendance and also to give us feedback, because having that help us develop more free activities like this one, and we will contact you to give more ideas for free web resources that you can use as an educator. Have a beautiful weekend.
Can I ask a last question?
Sure.
If you don't mind. Yes.
Sure.
So each time we develop a curriculum, we try to find out what we assess. With this curriculum, have you thinking about what kind of assessment you are doing? Are you assessing the technical skills that the students are gaining, or the attitude towards science or AI? So I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, feedback. Yes, that's good question.
So I was just going to say that
Karen, Stacey.
Yeah, I was just going to say all the curriculum is built around the AI for K-12 learning objectives and points for enduring understanding at particular grade bands. So there are very particular goals for learning that we have outlined for the students at different grade levels.
Based on the AI for K-12 bands. And then the other thing is that because all of our curricular materials were written by teachers for teachers, they've also thought about assessment along the way. And so while we don't put in the test, that's not what we're interested in. They have given guidelines about what the students should learn and what they should know on the outside. So what are the learning outcomes?
Okay, but they are not measuring the attitude towards the science. They are measuring the technical skills, not the attitude.
We're trying to build skill. We're trying to actually help build muscle that will allow these students to make good choices as they think about what they can do next. And it's very interesting, right? I mean, and I think there are lots of programs that you can buy, the black boxes. They'll just say, oh, that was fun. I like AI. We don't care if it's fun. We do care it's fun, and we do want you to like it, but we want you to understand why. We want you to understand how to think critically and know that you can bring these core skills and do something with it next. So it's not the first time that we're interested in. We like to call it the do it twice methodology, because we'll teach you the first time exactly what to do. Put the sensor here, click the button there, read the thing. The do it twice is what do you do as the student to take that learning and move it forward so that you can actually show us your learning progression.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that fits your philosophy. Does it fit your philosophy?
Yeah, for us, we would like also the student, the attitude toward the student, because we want them to see if some students, they don't know what they want to do. So hopefully after these eventually experiences, they are sure now, or the likelihood that they're going to pursue a career in STEM has increased. So this is why, yes, we are. We're not going to discourage them from pursuing the career.
No, please don't hear that. No, we want people to be in STEM. We need to hire, we can't hire them. Please, give us your students.
Okay.
Let me just say that if any of you decide that you are going to pursue another round and go deeper and start to think about using our curriculum, please do not hesitate to reach out to Stacey or I. We want to support you. We'll be happy to answer any questions. We're happy to connect you with not only our technical staff, but with other communities that are using this, because you might find that they're doing something that you can benefit from, or that you're doing something that they can benefit from. So we'll bring you together and we have now, I think, 9 or 10 states in the US from the AI for K-12 working group that have all got their first set of kits and are starting to think about this for their curriculum.
Okay.
Yes, Karen, I think what we are going to find, you see in a little while, a different group within the community. And if somebody want to do this, of course, we will contact. And so we will work together with that. All right.
Thank you so much. And it's been so nice to meet you all.
Yes, thank you very much to you too, and to Stacey for this good workshop. Outstanding. Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you for having
Thank you, because it was a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much.
Yes. Very
Okay,
nice.
I'm going to turn off the recording, and if you want to stay with us, you can stay, but I'm going to turn off the recording. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Yes.
Okay, have a nice weekend too. Thank you, Elba, doctora Gracia.
Gracias, Sol. Muchas gracias. Bye bye.
Excelente, doctor, excelente, me encantó.
Muy bien. Excelente, Sol, sí. Muy bien.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.